You're watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television. This is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome to The Sports Source. Very happy to have you with us today. Jam-packed show. Tennessee has made an offensive coordinator hire. We'll talk about that. There's some other shifts on the coaching staff we'll discuss. We'll talk recruiting. Basketball as well. That's where we'll start today. Let's go ahead and jump into it. First segment of our show brought to you by my good friend Phil Cobble and his team at Phil Cobble Fine Homes and Land. When you need a realtor, you want someone who has all the tools, all the technology to sell your home. Technology like, say, this television show. Check out this beautiful home on 1.2 acres of lakefront property, 3-bedroom, fenced-in porch with a lake view, just beautiful. Call them or go to philcobblehomes.com to learn more about this home you're looking at right there on Melton Lake Way, or to list your own property, and maybe it appears right here on the Sports Source. That's top-of-the-line technology from a realtor. That's Phil Cobble, Fine Homes and Land. All right, I want to show you everything that we have on the show today. First of all, Vols fall again. They've dropped 4 of their last 5 in basketball. As I mentioned, staff changes on the Tennessee football staff. We'll debate the Mike DeBoard hire. Signing day help. Where did the Vols get the most help on signing day? We'll look at 2015. Now that the signing day is behind us, what are the roster strengths and roster weaknesses? In this early stage, what's it look like, strengths and weaknesses moving forward? We'll let Houston Fancher and some of our other guys play the role of Donnie Tyndall. How do you turn things around for the last 8 games? And we'll take a look ahead this week. Could change be on the way for the Vols with Vanderbilt and LSU on the horizon. All right, let's welcome in these guys. First of all, I mentioned just there, you're wearing a big championship ring there. Yeah. Former Appalachian State head coach, former Vol staff member Houston Fancher is with us. Right there we have longtime Knoxville News Sentinel columnist Mike Strange. And right down there we have Mark Pankratz. Mark, of course, played Division I basketball at Milwaukee, as it's now known, as opposed to, what was it, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Milwaukee. Yeah. Always flip it, like you're saying the city and the state. But also, of course, a staff member under Bruce Pearl here at Tennessee. And folks can tune in. I forget this just about every week. You guys need to shoot me ugly looks. These guys can be found on a podcast, Sports Animal. What is the website now? Is it still Sports Animal 99?
Radio.
Sports Radio, WNML.com?
That's
okay.
That's it.
Coach's Corner. Check it out. Go there. Find their podcast. It's excellent every week. All right. As I mentioned, Tennessee falls 56-53 to Georgia yesterday, 4th loss in 5 games. We had wondered all year, Josh Richardson had really been your legitimate scorer game in, game out. We wondered what would happen if he ever sprained an ankle or just went completely ice cold. Okay, we found out yesterday it was 1 for 13 shooting, and the one came awfully late. Still, they managed to come within 3 points on the road of a decent Georgia team that's probably ticketed to the NCAA tournament right now. Thoughts, and I'll start, and you guys can just hop in here. Thoughts on Tennessee's performance in a 3-point loss at Athens?
Well, I think they played a very balanced team yesterday. John, first of all, I think it's a team that they ran into. They had, they're starting 5 all average in double figures. They've got a great inside presence. And you could tell from early on they want to pound the ball inside against us. They established that early on and stuck with it. Even though we turned them over a number of times, they stuck with their big lineup, which is what paid dividends for them down the stretch. They out-rebounded us. They really pounded the ball inside on us late and opened up the floor for J.J. Frazier to knock down some big threes in the second half. So I think it was just as much Georgia that it was Tennessee.
Well, I think, as you mentioned, they stayed big. A lot of teams early on in the season, they've gone and played small against us, and that's where Armani Moore and some of our bigger guards have been able to make an impact. I think the big difference was the fact that we just weren't penetrating. We weren't getting those points in the paint. We shot a lot of threes, and in our losses, we're shooting in the 20% from 3, and then in our wins, we're shooting 40%. We just got to continue to attack the paint and get to that free throw line, which we just didn't do yesterday.
Mike Strange?
Josh Richardson. I was surprised Tennessee got off to a good start early without him, and then you think, well, okay, they're early in the second half, they're still in it, and he still hadn't done anything, and it kept going and kept going. But they won at Missouri when he had, I think, 2 field goals, 2 for something, and 8 points. But the difference was Georgia's better than Missouri. And Missouri shot 30% from the field. In other words, Tennessee's defense was really, really good that day, and Georgia shot 55% from the field.
Well, let's take a look at that. That's a good lead in. Tennessee, after winning 3 in a row, they had won 8 of their last 9 games. They've now lost 4 of their last 5, and these are the 10 SEC games. All right, they started out 4-1. That's that left column you see there. Their opponents, on average, shot 37%. Tennessee shot about 42%. Then the last 5 games, they're 1-4. The opponent's shooting 50%. Tennessee about the same. It's dropped to 40%, but that's negligible. The big change, though, those first 5 games, they held their opponents to 37% shooting. The last 5, it's been 50% shooting. All right, tell me, what's happened? Is that a factor of teams have now seen enough tape of Donnie Tyndall's bizarro defense? Is that a function of you have a thin roster that could be wearing down the deeper we go into the season because you got guys playing a lot of minutes? Is it just dumb luck and that's basketball? Sometimes guys hit, sometimes they don't. Thoughts?
I think one thing, if you look at that list you had up on the left side, 4 of those teams are below us in the standings. You know, 4 of the people below us are in the standings. If you look on the opposite side, Mississippi State was a fluke, but 3 of those teams are above us. So we're playing better competition here down the stretch as well. Mississippi State shot the way they shot and then turned around yesterday and hit 2 field goals in the first half on the road at Arkansas. So to me, that was a fluke too, the way they shot the basketball. So I think a lot of that has to do with our competition.
All right.
Well, I think too, it is. And once you get into conference play, teams have a better idea of how to attack you. And I think that does have some effect on this defense and the way we've performed, because that's where we're losing our basketball games, is just defending. And at times, because we struggle to score, it's hard to set up our defense the way we want to. And so when we see these laps of ability to put the ball in the basket, it's affected the defensive end.
Well, we've talked about that in years past with different coaches. If you're not getting your shots to fall on the offensive end, it's just so darn hard to stay up and into it on the defensive end. I know as a coach that had to drive you crazy.
Yeah, that's a disease that's hard to get rid of. Right. You know, and it's been going on since the first time the ball was bounced. You know, scoring gives you energy, gives you confidence, and it enables you to play a little bit harder on the defensive end, which a coach always continues to fight, but a battle they'll never win.
Well, and the other thing, this defense was designed around a big guy, Kenneth Fareed, when he was at Morehead State. That is the biggest weakness of this basketball team, is we have no inside presence. Whether it's Carmichael playing 8 minutes yesterday and having 4 fouls, a lack of physical presence of Derek Reese, we just don't have an interior presence, and that's important for the anchor of this defense.
Just so many games. I thought Georgia yesterday, from early in the game, just was able to get the ball right in the paint and make things happen. And Texas A&M, Tennessee just never made them look uncomfortable. They shot 64% in the second half against Tennessee. That defense earlier, it seemed like it was making people look uncomfortable. And it's not now.
Not now, and it's been a strange, well, not strange, it's been almost predictable. If you go back to what was predicted at the beginning of the season, what you're seeing now is kind of what people thought. Okay, lose 4 out of 5. I think they'd gotten off to such a tremendous start under Donnie Tyndall, a surprising start, that we finally said, okay, let's stop saying it's surprising. And about the time we said that is when it started going back downhill. So later in today's show, we're going to talk about what these guys would do to try and fix it. Tennessee's still got 8 games to go. They're still, if not an NCAA tournament, they're still an NIT tournament to play for. And if you remember, the last few years, that tournament changed its selection process. That is not just, get the 500 and you're in. So Tennessee has some work to do to even get into an NIT tournament. We'll discuss that. How can Tennessee make those changes? Up next, however, staff changes on the Tennessee football team. We'll talk all about Mike DeBoard and other moves. Come on back on the Sports Source.
Want your own man cave? Turn to Benedict Construction.